Welcome back into the College Chaos Podcast. Garrett Ross, Jack Mackenzie, and Jacob Wilson holding it down from the producer standpoint, man. And way too early top 25s.
Way too early.
These always intrigue me. I know there's a lot of debate year in and year out about the top 25, and it really sets the I hate how it sets things up from the jump in college football, but they're so addicting. Like,
yeah.
It's like a dirty pleasure you just go back to year
I'd
in and
rather say
year
guilty
out.
pleasure, but, do your thing.
Hey, each his own, each his own. But no, all right, so I've seen a few different ones here, but the first one I came across was from PFF, and I want to start there with this.
I think it's a good place to start.
It is. It's a great website. So number one, they have Georgia. I think that's fair. Easily, and then you look at their schedule next year. There's really no doubt in my mind from that. Number two, you got Michigan. I think obviously having Blake Corum announce that he's returning is going to lead there. You know who your quarterback's going to be. With Jim Harbaugh, I don't like that man. I don't trust him. So it is what it is. So then Ohio State comes in at number thrd. Obviously, you're losing C.J. Stroud.
Which is probably why they're at 3.
Yeah, you're bringing back Marvin Harrison Jr. and Emeka Mbiwe. I know I butchered that name. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Florida State comes in at number 4. This is a team.
We're going to get some more on Florida State later.
Florida State is legit. Number 5, you're going to have USC. 6 is Bama. 7 is Penn State. 8, Go Tigers, LSU. Tennessee, number 9. And then number 10, the Huskies of Washington. I think, look, man, when I see this, I think for the most part, they nailed it, in my opinion.
I don't know. I've got a certain thing in here that
look. Okay, what's really your hiccup? What's your main?
My
draw?
hiccup is USC over Bama.
Oh yeah,
I do not. I'm on board. Not believe in the Trojan. Like, you put those two teams on the field, I guarantee a Bama win 10 out of 10 times. And you know why? Because Bama plays defense and USC refuses to.
I always think of you remember when they played at AT&T Stadium and USC had the guys like trying to come out in the dog, and I'm like, you don't do that against Bama.
If you got to try and act like a dog, you don't got the dog in you.
Not at all. Not at all.
Nope.
I just look, man. This is Caleb Williams' last ride in a Trojan uniform, and I think they're really doing him a disservice by bringing Alex Grinch back.
They really are.
And this is something
they're making him have to do everything.
And you would think at this point, like, you've gone through this at Oklahoma. You did it again this year at USC. You know what's happening. You're in it. Like, at some point, you figure Caleb would go to Lincoln Riley and be like, look, man, we're going to have to fix something. Like, this, I can't do this all on my own.
He keeps putting up the stats, no matter whether OU, USC, he puts up the stats. He won the Heisman. But if you're not winning with the Heisman Trophy winner, something is wrong somewhere.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It's pretty easy to point out. It's the defense. So I'm sorry, I don't care. Bama's losing Bryce Young. They'll get another quarterback in there. They're going to have an offensive line that's solid and that can run the ball. And they'll lose more games maybe in the year. Maybe.
Right.
And they'll still be better than USC. Because USC won't play defense.
The one team, okay, so when I look at this, and I was trying to draw comparisons to other, all right, so really, I think that the PFF probably has Penn State, right? They have them about 7. The top 25 from the AP does as well. But when you go over to Sports Illustrated, they have Penn State coming in at number 4, and I just can't get behind that. Look, I like James Franklin. I think he's a tremendous coach. I would rather have James Franklin as my coach than Jim Harbaugh any day of the week at the college level. I can't trust Penn State. Year in and year out, they have solid quarterback play, but they can never get over the hump. You're always behind Ohio State. You're always behind Michigan. And they just find a way in those close games, those big matchups, to lay an egg. And I do not trust them being at number 4. It just boggles my mind. That's the one that really stands out to me and bugs me the most. But the one I'm really agree with, Florida State.
Florida State, yeah.
I
think we're on the same page here.
They are so good, man. And tell me what you like most about the Seminoles.
I like just how much talent they're returning and just how hungry they seem as a program. Like, they're hungry to the point of desperation for success, and I think that's the healthy kind of desperation. You're returning what was Pro Football Focus, and this is probably why they're so high in the PFF rankings. Pro Football Focus's highest graded Power 5 QB over all of last year in Jordan Travis, and You get Jared Verse back.
He's a dog, man. I don't know
how did they get him to stay?
Money. I guess. Look, they're saying you can improve your draft stock. You can rise. We can pay you about not necessarily on par, but pretty close to on par to what you would see from an NFL contract as a rookie. I think that really played in. I think if NIL, and I could be totally wrong on this, but I feel like if NIL wasn't involved, he's in the NFL draft this year. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. I would assume so as well. And just looking at what they return elsewhere, they've got Trey Benson, a running back, coming back. He's great, forcing missed tackles. They've got Johnny Wilson, a wide receiver, who's very productive. And then they're bringing in transfers to solidify the defense. It looks like they're going no stone unturned, and they're ready to be back to being on the national stage, which is, one, good for the ACC, and two, good for the non-elitists out there like me.
Oh, so I feel like that was a shot across the bow, but we'll just take that with a grain of salt. Grain
of salt, because they used to be an elite program, and if they keep winning, they'll be back there, and I'll be annoyed with them very quickly.
So looking at the board here, you've got South Carolina up here, and you have Wisconsin to go along with Florida State. What are you looking at when you see a program like Wisconsin and Luke Fickell in his first season?
So Wisconsin came out at number 24 in the Pro Football Focus list, and there's a trust level I have in Luke Fickell to be able to build and compete, even when the resources aren't necessarily there. But we were talking earlier today about how you have to win in the trenches. I don't know if there's better breeding ground for offensive linemen than Wisconsin.
Probably not.
They churn out 6'4" to 6'8", 300-pound white boys, farm boys, and they are just good. And then you mix in how, frankly, at least up north, it seems like they are the old school middle linebacker U. They've got the recipe for the quarterback of the defense and the nastiness in the trenches on offense. You put a coach like Luke Fickell over there. I believe in them, and their schedule's favorable. They are probably going to win the Big Ten West because it's a weak division, and they get a lot of their tough games at home. I'm
intrigued to see on a recruiting front what Luke Fickell can do at Wisconsin, because it's a brand.
It's about bringing in the great skill. That's what he has to be able to do there.
And that's why I think he has such a good track record in the state of Ohio. Like, if you can go in and you could steal some of those local kids and that are considering Ohio and even Cincinnati at one point in time, and you could bring them in, because I think that's the thing. You're going to have to find the skill players. Wisconsin's always going to have a running back. Mm-hmm. The quarterback is always hit and miss with them. They really, to me, other than Russ.
I mean, for every coach is the key. You got to bring in good quarterbacks, but like that, good quarterbacks. Probably good cornerbacks to compete with, like the Ohio State wide receivers.
You definitely have to shut them down. You got to figure out something there, and I think
those feel like
two
key positions.
I'm intriguing. I think Wisconsin. I've always had a soft spot for them. I love the way they play football. Every time they've lined up against LSU, they've given them hell. I just respect that program so much, and I think it's too because they get overshadowed, right?
Yeah, they get overshadowed easily. But one of the programs that overshadows them, they get them at home. They get Ohio State at home. Their other non-division games are, I think, Rutgers and Indiana. So they're easy on that. Yeah. They get Iowa at home. They get Nebraska at home. You know, there's going to be some hype around Nebraska this year.
Yeah,
their toughest games are going to be like at Minnesota to finish the year, at least as far as away games go, and at Illinois. They also have at Washington State early in the year, but like
Illinois, like they're not even ranked. You got so much going on.
They lost their defensive coordinator to another school. Yeah,
it was a cute story.
Yeah, and another cute story out there, South Carolina.
All right, I'm gonna say South Carolina is fraudulent as hell. Year in and year out, they are fraudulent. Look, and I know people love Beamer ball and everything they have going on. They are so inconsistent. Like, I was trying to think of what Big 12 team to draw a comparison to, and the only one I can really think of is Iowa State. Okay. They're a team that you can't overlook. Both of these teams are teams you can't overlook year in and year out. 9 times out of 10 in a big game, they can push you, but they're going to find a way to lose it. They can get in the quarterback here and there, but
this is really weird to me because I don't like to be that. Well, the SEC is just better, and so SEC equals better. But I just don't view Iowa State as being on that same level. I'd like. If you could make some amalgamation of Kansas State and Texas Tech, then I'd believe it. But I just don't see Iowa State as that. And I think Kansas State's a little more consistent and Texas Tech is a little more erratic.
I think Kansas State is overall, I think to me, in my mind, Kansas State's the overall better program than South Carolina ever will be.
No, that's what I'm saying. Kansas State's too good. Yeah. Texas Tech is too bad to be South Carolina.
Fair.
And I just don't see Iowa State as being in the middle of those.
That's fair.
Because maybe it's just me looking at the past too much, but before Matt Campbell, it was Iowa State was not good. And with Matt Campbell, they're going to play hard. And then they peaked.
And look, and he's really probably on some thin ice here in the next couple of years. Yeah. But that's a subject for another day.
Point is, South Carolina's schedule also does them no favors this year. I mean, like you look and I swear you could flip a coin for 8 games on their schedule.
Right.
8. And you want to tell me that they're supposed to be ranked when you can flip a coin for that many games on their schedule?
Yeah, and I don't trust Spencer Sanders either. Spencer Rattler. I do not trust Spencer Rattler. Going back to Oklahoma,
I don't trust either of those two quarterbacks.
Really, I don't either. But still, it's just one of those things. They're intriguing. I think people want South Carolina to be good. I would like to see them beat up on Clemson every time they play, but that's just not realistic.
Yeah.
But, it's intriguing. But that's the way too early top 25. You can debate it. There's multiple ones out there. You can go and look, do some comparisons, compare, contrast, and all that.
And while we would like the rankings to not happen until, I don't know, when conference play starts, it's not going to. So we're going to have fun with the fact that these lists are out here.
Just take advantage of it, run with it. It is what it is. But we're going to put a bow on this thing next, and we're going to do so talking basketball and Chris Beard's
always got to have at least one
Gotta have some
segment.
basketball, man. Loves me some basketball. So we're going to get to that next here on the College Chaos Podcast.